All right, good evening, welcome. I don't know when the last time I streamed was. It feels like a long time ago. Song title was "Am I Dreaming?" It's from the Spider-Man album. Great album, by the way. Awesome album. Great, like, laid-back hip-hop vibes, if that's what you're into. Good album. Very good album. Yeah, hello, Barrett. Hope you're recovering. Rest up. All right, so first of all, let's start now. The ETH top is in. So this is the top for now for ETH. And kick off with that one. And we'll dive into some charts. Just like, what? I think we'll probably just kind of have to, I don't know, how do we do this? How do I phrase this? I think some of the markets are, I think some of the markets are at the point where we might see pullbacks. However, the actual space in the way it's trading right now has actually been kind of more bull market-esque in the way that it's been trading. And the reason that I say that is because, you know, some markets, yes, they've looked as though we're going to get a correction, but other markets just look as though they're kind of taking off. So we've got this great situation where suddenly we've got kind of a lot of markets that are either playing catch up or have corrected formally and now are ready to move again. We had that with, you know, SUI recently where it kind of did the correction, everything else was pumping, and then when everything else chilled out, SUI took off again. And this is a good environment for us. It's a really nice environment. So today I tried to scalp short on BTC. Have I still got it on here? No. Tried to scalp short on BTC pretty much like through here-ish. Right, like stop here, like looking for this one. And I'm also long on a fuck ton of things, as we'll cover off when we go through the charts today. And one of the questions in the Haven was basically, you know, like, why are you still longing things if you're looking for BTC to make a correction? I mean, that answer is kind of twofold. But the first of those is that a lot of the markets are acting independently right now. And so we've actually got quite a lot of independence between them. The second part of that is that, number one, my analysis on BTC can be incorrect, and in this situation it was, or that BTC can chop around here and alts can continue to play. So at the moment, we've got this really good playground of opportunity, it seems, within the market to be able to take advantage of things, even though we might be like concerned about the levels BTC is trading to, might be concerned about that kind of 3-day structural market high that we've got that we're just underneath. But it still seems as though there's, you know, opportunity in the market. So BTC, we'll start off with, then we'll go to ETH, and I'll kind of give you my thoughts on ETH. And hopefully I'm not stopped out at the same time as giving you my thoughts on ETH. This is basically still the picture on BTC. We know about this weekly consolidation that we're in up at this level here. We know that the monthly is still in a very good situation. Seasonality for September seems to be a nothingness at the moment. Christ, I'm going to curse us with that comment. But seems to be fine for now. Historically as well, when September is green, October tends to be abundantly green, which is also a very positive sign as well. So we've got a good monthly. We're still holding this level through here, which is a really nice level for us to basically be sticking above. So anywhere above here, very nice for us still to maintain. Know about the weekly, and then really our concern, or not really our concern, but our kind of like the one gray cloud that's still hanging over our heads that we would really like to get rid of is this market structure. Every single lower high has been a very successful short. It's been a very easy short. So for anybody that wants to short off this high here, you absolutely cannot begrudge taking that short setup. That's an absolutely acceptable short setup based on what we've seen on the last 4 occasions this has happened. And this is the 5th time we're running this. Now, from my perspective, I hope that the 5th time is the time that, this time is different. And, you're not going to be as lucky to get it 5 times in a row. But it is market structure. It is the most simple, straightforward trade that you can ask for. And it's that one. What the bulls want to see is we want to see us break through this 3-day level here, and we want to start to see an uptrend. Now, when that happens, we're only actually 50% of the way towards creating that uptrend. In order to have the confirmed uptrend, we need both the higher high, plus we need the higher low to be in. We'll come in with that straight away, Barrett. So you say I was talking with some members in the foundation about market structure. They were talking about a different structure because they use the wicks, and I use the candle bodies. How do you view this? My view again is that the market should be done simply on the way it looks on multiple chart types. So if you've got a candlestick chart and then you swap to a line chart and therefore you don't have the same market structure, for me that's a problem. It should be the same on a line chart that it is on a candlestick chart. The wicks are largely irrelevant from my perspective here. And what matters is the closing of the candles. And when you've got something like this sort of simplicity, I think that also kind of adds weight to that argument that you just use candlesticks and it's super easy. Closes, sorry. So if we do make the higher high here, we still need the higher low through this zone down here. And so one of the things that this market could do is this market could make this push, it could create the higher high, and this could be the next correction. Right, that could be the next correction. Now that would still be a very bullish situation. We know that the whole of Twitter would emotionally flip into being super bearish. We'd have, the bears doing victory laps in this situation. But this would be the premium opportunity that we would get for a market structure change, longing the higher low, and then we're looking for basically 80K plus easily. So we're conflicted up here. We're not really conflicted because momentum is clearly with the upside. Now, if we're to dive into, maybe a couple of other timeframes that would help us to discern whether or not we're going to get a break or not, we can go across to the daily. The daily is very helpful in this situation because we can see this is actually one of the strongest daily pushes that we've had in a while since the summer. So since July, this is actually the most extended that the daily RSI has been. And that's a very good sign for us to hopefully continue to the upside. That push here is supported by the fact that the daily is in a far better position than we were even on this last high here. We seem to have more aggression in this move. Same with the 12-hour as well. One more push up here. First time we're going to be into clear overextended territory for the best part of 6 months. Again, very good sign that momentum is on the upside and therefore not as much on the downside anymore. We want to see some of these clear signals coming back in. We want to see areas like this. And you see the difference when we change into this downtrending structure. Hardly any time spent in the extreme. Very strong rejections once we get there. Versus when we were in full upswing territory. And RSI just lodges itself firmly in this overextended region and stays there for considerable patches of time. If we are now to start breaking into this territory, that is a really, really positive sign for us. Essentially, we want to see this moving towards here. We want to be overextended. And lower time frame at the moment, just chopping around. Really just kind of bashing around here. It's basically just following SPX. Why is Aaron so bearish? Well, we've had this conversation here before. Like, one of those reasons is that at the moment, you know, he's playing into a character. He's playing into the bear. We always speak about, from an engagement perspective, one of the best possible times to drive engagement is when the majority of the feed or the timeline feels a certain way. They have a certain bias, and you're the very loud counter bias position. And so basically being like a very vocal bear at a time where everybody else is kind of bullish on the market to different degrees is a good way of generating engagement, right? Because you get people that just, you know, it doesn't matter if people just turn up and say, you know, you're an absolute cuck for what you believe. Doesn't matter. It's just all engagement. So that's point number one. The second thing is, and kind of to do with the TA, obviously, everybody has their different approaches and different thought process, but we are just in that situation that for the 4 prior times has failed, which is the lower high. So we are still in a market structure situation of which the last 4 times that we were in this lower high situation, we have gone on to create lower prices. So, you know, again, like I said before, that you really can't fault anybody that wants to short up here. You know, sure, you might disagree with how vocal they are or the way that they go about communicating it, but I think that the actual short setup itself is relatively self-explanatory up here. All right, let's do ETH. This chart is in a really interesting spot. So we've seen actually a lot of ETH strength lately. We've seen a little bit of catch up on the ETH side of things, which has been very pleasing to see because it's been hidden for a long time. I think up here is where we're starting to get we're starting to struggle a little bit through here. Now, I think the next move, probably over the course of the next 6 to 8 hours, maybe through Asia, will probably be quite important for ETH. We've got the potential for the hourly div building here. We've got the potential for the very small 4-hour div building through here. And we'd like to see ETH basically make a solid push up into this region just to invalidate the divergences. We just like to get clear of the divergences. And then if it wants to chop around for a little bit, that's fine. It can have its natural correction, that's fine. And then we carry on. If you start to see divergences here, then I'd be looking for probably a run back down to the 2.5s. If it's super aggressive, then runs back down to sweep 2.500 and land somewhere in this region here. From my side of things, Renko shows that ETH is diverging the last 2 highs through here. So Renko doesn't like the strength being shown up at this region. But where we are right now, the market is still very strong. It's kind of, you know, relentless in the upside, and fortunately I'm not taking too many stabs at the short side, because I think that if you are making multiple attempts on the short side, it's the sort of time where you can get quite heavily chopped. So we just want to see a nicer push from ETH here. Structure scenario, we basically roll the same thing in as BTC. Right, so it's here. So we've got the divergences into the lower high, and then we could get this move. It's not out of the question. People will start drawing like memes like this as well. Right, so we close the daily below. We'll start having stuff like this going on. Again, that's something that you can't rule out just based on the market structure that we've got here. Lower high here, lower low creation here, hopefully bottom. When you go to the 3-day as well, it's actually a really interesting situation on the 3-day from an awesome oscillator perspective. Anybody that utilizes the awesome oscillator as well will probably have noticed this. It's actually a small divergence here between the lows. And BTC actually has this as well, which could give us a clue, hopefully, to the continued strength of the market. But BTC also actually has this bullish div. Again, the bullish div can support another low. But ideally, of course, we'd love to see it play out. Anywhere back above 2,800 will be a very, very good sign that the ETH bottom is probably in here. Just got some work to do on the lower time frames, I think, to get through this. Don't you need separate islands to show the divergences? Yeah, I mean, like you can do if you're going to have like a super extended one. Not even super extended, but if you're going to have that kind of like clearer pattern between. The reason that I don't mind utilizing this is that we still have two formations here, but we also have the same situation on RSI. So it's not like the AO is telling me something that, you know, I would find hard to believe, because it's represented in a couple of locations as well. And then the BTC one, just so you can have eyes on it, is here. Definitely not already played out. The play out would be on the full crossover of this. Are you still aiming for level-to-level trades and not changing targets? We'll go through some of the trades that I've got open. I'm sure we'll naturally kind of stumble across them as we go through some of the charts, and I'll discuss that there, Barrett. Yep. 8 straight days up and not played out. Correct. When the AO crosses positive, then we can start to think about what play out looks like. And also from just that general perspective as well, that we can have these divergences, especially like 3-day bull divs like this, can also be trend altering. So it can just be like play out into new trend creation into uptrend. So it's not just a case of even like playing out. It's whether or not you're then holding through to new trend creation. So it's a little bit deeper than just playing like a level-to-level divergence or a range-based thing. Is it possible we get a positive Q4 for BTC, but we get a negative Q4 for ETH? Highly doubtful. Don't think the market would work like that. Oh shit, sorry if you've been left out on Twitter as well. If you've asked any questions, I've literally just been on Twitch chat. All right, let's I'll go through some of the markets that I'm in first, because they're kind of some of the more interesting ones, I guess. First one's POPCAT. And I've been playing this back and forth, which has been great. I think this goes higher again. You know, we've got a correction and a cool off here, but we've got no divergences, especially on the hourly here. Doing fine on the 4-hour. We've got plenty of time for this to continue trading higher. I think this just accelerates through the $1 level and into the 110s and beyond. Renko target says like 110 is another extension point for it, but it looks very, very good from my perspective. So I think 110s are kind of the area, and then we'll see from there. Super strong market. SNX. So we're moving now into the realms of plays that I have been taking based on 3-day divergences. So SNX is a position that I've taken on the basis of a 3-day divergence. You've got very strong one on the AO here. You've got a very strong one on the RSI here. with this being a lower low as well. And hopefully looking for this sort of move. Now, these sorts of charts are what gave me the hope the other day that we would see a positive response post FOMC. When I spoke about kind of some of the charts are set up in a way that looks as though they're going to move to the upside, it's basically a lot of these 3-day divergence charts because they're really strong bullish setups. They're typically, you know, weaker markets overall. They've been weaker markets, which is why they've established these 3-day bullish divergences. But they're really good opportunities to play into this sort of kind of move towards a more significant upside target. So SNX is one of those, and simply TPing against, you know, kind of taking highs. That's basically the thought process here. This first one here would be on the creation of a fresh high, and then any retrace, which means I can take some profit prior to any retrace. This one here would just be a sensible place. If we did turn around and continue higher, it's just going to be a natural sweep point of all of this rundown. And then lastly, back up here into some rough level here around 230. This is another one. And this is another really interesting higher time frame picture. Again, just taken on the basis here of the 3-day divergence. And this low in particular, just screaming that it was not a valid lower low, basically. I mean, it is, because that's market structure. But the momentum just died off here. And you can see that here. The fact the RSI held this higher low in comparison to back here, and this divergence is taking place in such an unusual position, along with that huge slowdown in momentum on the AO, set this up for a very nice position. I'm just looking to get back to somewhere towards kind of structure here. Time to look for shorts. Just short ETH. Honestly, just short ETH. It's such an easy trade up here. You just short ETH, that's it. It's not a difficult one. If you want to short something, just pick that. What are your thoughts on partial profits in trade management? How do you balance that with picking reasonable targets? Do you take more conservative targets to hold all the way through, or do you swing for the fences and TP throughout? So you can see in this situation, like it's super subjective. It's based entirely on the setup. It's based entirely on the market that you're trading. And then you're looking at, you know, establishing your TPs along the journey. I like to always make sure that I've got those TPs in place. I think especially over the last 6 months has probably taught me, you know, a lot in terms of being a little bit more rigid in terms of making sure TPs are established and therefore stuck to. And then just running from there. You know, I've been through that explanation for the SNX chart. You know, why those levels are where they are. So, you know, you'll probably pick up some of that as I go through discussions on anything else that I've got here. If we do not make a higher high on the BTC 3-day, how confident are you in buying the pullback? Well, in the same logic as me saying that bears have very simple risk reward to short here. If we lean on the bullish side, bulls will have very simple risk reward for longing at the bottom. Okay, so what bears are doing here is they're saying, well, this is a downtrending structure. I'm shorting the lower high potential here. I'm maybe going a bit early with it, but I'm going to try and short into this. I'm going to take it to fresh lows. Now, in terms of buying a pullback, bulls are basically doing the same, but from here. Okay, so bulls are basically going to do the same thing here. So if we start to pull back, I don't know, back towards 56, whatever, down here, then bulls are just going to do the same, because they're going to say, well, I think this is a higher low, so I'm going to buy here. I'm going to have my stop loss down here, and I'm going to have my target set for the creation of a new uptrend and a breakout at the 70K level. So down here will just present the risk-reward opportunity in order to try and attempt the long position. That's all. So just simple risk-reward side. Bears are rewarded up here for attempting the short. Well, not necessarily rewarded, but again, you can't fault the logic. And if we do sell off and we get an aggressive sell-off, then you can't fault the logic of bidding this as a potential higher low. Now, again, you would want to see some more confluence than just saying, yeah, I think it's going to be a higher low, or for the bears saying, I think this is going to be a lower high, because we're still trading right here. So ideally, you want some more confluence, because we're still just up in this zone. We're still in the same area. So you can't get super carried away that this is definitely going to be a lower high here. In this situation, you wouldn't even look at 60K, only the lows. Lower time frame, I'd probably take a stab if we traded below here. If we trade below here on the lower time frames, I'll take a stab. To me, that would make sense. This area here, running this area, makes sense. I think the 4 hour is also concerning on BTC. This is a good length of consolidation in here before we get the push into the fresh high. But this drop-off in the AO is not particularly pleasing. We don't usually like to see that much of a significant drop-off when a fresh high is made. But yeah, you know, lower time frames, I think, get down here. I'll bid that as a potential for a correction and then immediate bounce. If we go back to 56, I don't think any of those lows hold. Yeah. But again, that's like the thought process, right? And that you could be correct. You could be correct. We won't know until it happens, if it happens. I think we're fine on silver, aren't we, Dime? Been a little bit ropier. Been a bit ropier since the open, but we seem okay. And this fucking tattoo is peeling everywhere now. Good God. I think this is the most stressful spot holding all my life. It should be okay, man. Like, honestly, it should be okay. You just want the uptrend established, because if you get the uptrend established, then you can be very comfortable then, I think, in the spot side of things. Like ETH just turning negative again for the close. And even here, you know, I'm not gonna try and meme this too hard, because you know, it is a very odd looking divergence. But if we start to get this scenario, then again, it just leads towards pullback territory for ETH. And we haven't even covered the indexes, but you know, the indexes are also in a position where they could correct from here. I don't want to be like, I don't want to feel like, I don't want people to feel as though I'm bearish on the market. I'm absolutely not bearish on the market. I think momentum is very good on the upside right now. I think that here on ETH and BTC is not the time to be all in on ETH and BTC. I think there's a ton of opportunity elsewhere in alts. And, you know, somebody mentioned whiff earlier and said, like, whiff looks good, and somebody said whiff looks cooked. Well, like, again, it just depends on the way you look at it, because I think, again, from this perspective, this is a really good 4-hour cool-off, and this is an example of a market that looks as though it could run. And who knows, maybe BTC just chops around for a bit. But this is good. The RSI is in a really great position here. The 12-hour was cooled off really nicely as well. You've got this nice consolidation going on here. And you've got the daily, which is set up very nicely. Again, how much attention is on whiff, especially if POPCAT starts to run aggressively? How much are people going to care about essentially the older meme now? But I think this looks fine. And the weekly, I just memed a trend line all the way down here as well. But when you go from kind of the 4-hour, 12-hour daily, it's in a pretty nice spot. It's in a pretty nice spot to take advantage of here and kind of forget what BTC is doing, because BTC could chop around for a little bit longer. It could have a small correction and then, you know, whatever. Whiff could act independently of it. Yeah, whiff looks great. Whiff looks cooked. Thus a market's made. Yep, exactly right. Rookie said whiff will revert all of the downwards price action in 2 weeks. Well, that is inherently why it pays to always be bullish in this space, because that's what happens. That's what happens in crypto. You know, bears get super confident. Bears have a great time for 3 months. And then in 1 week, we just go and obliterate all of the downtrending price action. Ripple used to be a prime example of it. XRP used to just downtrend for 11 months of the year. And then in a single month, we'd just undo an entire year of downtrending price action. So that's what this market does. Man, the fact that whiff is an old meme is still wild, though. Yeah, XRP's ready for that again, maybe. XRP, again, decent shape. Needs to start breaking through, though, clearly on the weekly. It's got a clear level above us here at 60 cents that it just needs to push through. But then this consolidation could break. And again, you can try and meme a diagonal through here. But you can see where the lower highs are pretty clearly on the weekly. So what XRP needs is like a strong weekly to just get into a high. And then, yeah, fine. Bulls are confident now. Time to short. Yeah, I mean, I think like the bulls can kind of be rightly confident here. I think it's the overconfidence. We just get these moments where the market's been really good and you may have made some money and things are kind of working out. But then we enter a situation where we get the basically you're flying too close to the sun. You're now trying to long at a point that isn't a great place to long from, and you've been hitting longs for the past 5 days, you know, just rotating through markets or doing whatever you've been doing. But now we're probably getting close to the point where there might be a correction incoming, right? Where we are now, you know, pushing against some of these key levels. We're starting to see maybe some weaknesses developing on some markets like ETH. And if you continue at that pace, then it's likely you'll get kind of caught on the last bit. And then really it comes down to the correction, which is the situation we don't know. So what we want to see ideally is we want to see that very aggressive correction, and we want to see that very aggressive V reversal. So something like the BTC chart. If this is truly kind of the super bull environment, we should move like that, and we should do that. It should be an aggressive move to the downside, and it should be bought up very quickly and start to V-reverse. Yeah, and when it comes to kind of, being bullish in general, I think it's important, again, not to forget the monthly. The monthly still looks like this. When you look at this, and if this was an equities chart, you would be talking about how bullish this is. Honestly. If I just showed you this and it was just a random equities chart, you'd be saying, fuck, this looks good. But because it's BTC and we've lived every single day of this price action since February, this feels different to us. But this whole setup is great. I think people know my thoughts on Sol, like just in general. Sol's suffering at the moment. There's going to be an important psychological turning point shortly, okay, which is when ETH heads start to get very, very confident in the price action on ETH. And then it's time to long Sol. Yeah, Sol is the only spot bag that I kept, right, from when I was clearing stuff off weeks and weeks ago. $43 months. Legend. What a legend, man. He's going to be the most hated rally. It may be. I would like it to be. I got no, kind of like affiliation or bias. Buying Sol 80. Cool. Yeah, DOGE is still fine. This boy. 3-day, 0 response, but trading outside. Divergence down at the lows, divergence even down to this low. So you've essentially got the triple in here as well. Weekly, grinding, 4-hour chop. Good reset though. Similar situation to WIF. Slower. I guess if you want to group them into the older memes, you're kind of talking like prehistoric when it comes to DOGE now. But similar 4-hour structures. It's just cats stealing the limelight. That's all. Because even Mew is looking really good. I was looking at this chart before as well. This chart looks insanely good. So the 4-hour on Mew again is now starting to rotate. It's done the correction. It's now starting to rotate back to the upside. Still got plenty of room to move here on the 4-hour. But the daily and the 12-hour are where it gets interesting, because this is just an RSI 50 reset back into the top of this region here. And now it's moving back towards what is an important weekly level, and I'll show you that in a second. Again, daily, RSI 50, and it's got so much room. If this daily closes above this high here, you want to keep a good look on the RSI here, because the RSI is going to move up near here, and all it's doing is signaling the fact that this is going to have a solid breakout. So you want to keep an eye on this. Now, the weekly level is just here. So it's been sold like shit above here. Again, based on the fact that daily is in such a good position, the 3-day is in a positive position. If we start to break through here, then we'll have a positive weekly close. I think basically anything on the cat side of things will probably do very, very well. I think you can just go through whatever cat-based tokens you want to, and if POPCAT continues higher, which I think that it will, I think you can just basically play the entire cat sector, basically. I think this chart looks very good as well. I think this is a really good reset on PENDLE. Again, one of those markets that moves strongly on Sunday on the open, literally just blasted on the open. And is in a really good position here from the higher time frame perspective as well. I think PENDLE looks really nice. Again, there's like very few charts that I can go through and say they look bad, because no charts look bad here. Yeah, there are concerning points, but nothing looks bad through these regions. Yeah, just a monster. Breaking out resistance at 590s. 3-day looks great. Weekly is finally moving back around. Yeah, it's a monster. Yeah, only BTC and ETH looking bad on lower time frame. Yeah, and so again, that would kind of lead you more into the thought process of maybe those markets continue to chop, you know, or maybe ETH just makes it higher. Right? But that's kind of like where it kind of mentally positions you, I think. Yeah, this one. I just love looking at like the trade you take like in an area like this and then what it does in the aftermath. It's like, yeah, well, this was a really nice trade, 13%, really good trades, you know, really well, but, you know, fuck me. Yeah, the 12-hour div is nice up here. I think one of the things you'd have to consider is this a market that you wanna short? It can still make a triple. It's still a beastie market right now. Is it just easier to be looking on the long side of things? Oh, thoughts on Nia? Yeah, very good one. I longed it today. Here you go. Literally longed it earlier today. Just because the higher time frames look so good. We were basically getting up towards this situation here, and I'll show you what I was thinking here. It was this. It was this. Some consideration for the midpoint. And it was this. And it was this candle here. And it was these two candles in here. So basically this market looked as though it was slowing down into this second high, looked as though it was making the divergence. It's done a nice sweep across this level here. Looks as though it's making its bear div. But then we started to get a really strong response here. And typically when markets break bearish divergence structures, the resulting move tends to be very, very strong. And so, yeah, I took the trade on this earlier today. Daily looks great. 3-day looks great. And the weekly is actually in a pretty fantastic spot here when you look at kind of the correction and where we've ended up. I think it's a really, really strong looking chart. Been long since 4. Nice, man. When copy trade on Woo, you can copy trade in Haven. Fucking hell. Desk's fucking covered in shedding skin, man. Holy shit. Just look down, the shit's everywhere. Tick data come into trading view. Jesus. I'm going to be real degenerate then. Your milky white skin not suitable for tattooing? No, I mean, it's fine. I think. I don't know. maybe the milky white color doesn't help, but I know it feels fine. It feels fine. What was the tattoo of? It was a character. That's all I'll say. I've got not my first either, so yeah, Doge. You got it. Fucking got it in one. Zelda tattoo for new release. Yeah, nice idea. Nice idea. Man, I think I might play tonight. Not the new one, obviously, but I think I might play Link's Awakening. I played that a long time ago. I can't really remember it too well. So I think in anticipation I might dive back into that. Yeah, do you see the PS5 30th anniversary edition bundle? Yes. I saw somebody listed on eBay, a scalper listed a $10,000 auction where if you won, they would attempt to get you the 30th anniversary edition. Like, so you pay 10 grand and then all they do is attempt it. So yeah, so like I think that side of things is going to go wild for it, basically. I see like retailers are already bumping up the prices based on demand anyway. So yeah, controller looks great. Yeah, absolutely agree. Does look good. But also like the PS5 Pro, just like fucking garbage, man. Like what a fucking useless piece of shit. I got such a vendetta against video game companies right now. Not even like a vendetta. I just think they're all garbage. And then when you go through the charts, I could also short every single one of them. Because they're just trash. And the charts reflect that. eBay guy should launch a pre-sale token. Honestly, probably not a bad shout. Yeah, Tesla looks great, man. Tesla looks fantastic. Mining stocks I haven't dived too much into. It's going to depend on BTC. I think BTC above that, making that fresh high, and then it's going to be a lot kind of comfier on that side of things. Yeah, thoughts on the indexes? This is fine. Just super chopped today, but if it consolidates sideways, that's fine. Like, it's the same with BTC. If it consolidates like this, that's absolutely fine. And it's basically just doing that now. Starting to bring down the 4-hour. Yes, some divergence over here as well. So we may see some sort of impulse to the downside. The concern is still on the weekly. The concern is still on the fact that this is still diverging price action. But the NASDAQ is far cleaner. Like, this is actually a cleaner chart here for the lack of the divergence and the fact that we've just reset and we could make fresh highs. So I'm still, even though the divergence is present on SPX, I'm still kind of just leaning into the fact that it will probably invalidate and will move higher. Are you long on ROBLOX? I have some common stock, but really it's going to be when it breaks out is where I'll start to get more aggressive. Yeah. When this finally breaks on a monthly, I think it just becomes the super easy trade towards 70. If SPX drops, will it affect BTC? Yeah, it will. Yeah, this is a monster. This is 2.5 years of consolidation in a monthly range. Yeah, RKLB, very, very good as well. You can see all my scribbles here, but yeah, it's great market here as well. I think Peloton also, you know, I think you can make a case for actually being long Peloton now as well. I think this is a good weekly reclaim for it. I think this level here is really good reclaim in terms of giving you the risk reward through here. There's plenty of stocks that look great. Oh, and then Tesla. Tesla looks fucking amazing. Like, because it has the strength. This looks like it's just going to rip up this side. Like I said before, earlier this year, there was a fuck ton of orders for $500 calls for January 26. This monthly is a beast. It's a reclaim of 200 and it's a push. I tweeted to say, if the indexes have finished correcting and Tesla is anywhere between 200 and 230, it's a buy. Such a good looking higher time frame chart. I'd quite like some volatility when we're on stream. That would be cool. Some actual fucking volatility. Can't remember the last time we streamed where we actually had decent volatility come through. And like, I think this should invalidate as well. Like, I don't think this should be a legitimate thing. I think this divergence should invalidate and this should trade higher. It's only the fact that the div's also there on Renko that I think there's a chance that it plays out. Yeah, there's a ton of very good looking markets, and we'll begin to wrap up here as well because we've got plenty of content coming this week, so there'll be plenty of opportunity to discuss. And I feel as I've given a pretty decent account of kind of like where we are right now. I think what you're looking at here is How much more can you push this pre-correction? The second way of viewing this market is that BTC continues to go sideways and alts continue to have fun, because like we've looked at with Doge and with WIF, and essentially what they are is lagging markets now, or markets that have corrected and are now ready to go again. There are still plenty of setups here with room for upside moves and that still represent value in terms of positioning for. So I think it's just about market selection. I think you just have to pick which markets you're interested in essentially getting long for, and then finding your setups within that. If we get the correction, you're going to get stopped out. Shame. Right? But then all of the attention turns to the response. And I think that then becomes the major discussion point. What is the response like on these markets? If we do get the correction, what does that look like? And if we tap into that zone on BTC, if we get down and we sweep the level that I'm looking for personally down here, do we get a quick reaction? Do we get that V-shaped reversal? What are the indexes doing at the same time? We're on the verge of the dollar losing a 2-year support level. Right, that comes at the end of the month. We have like a huge amount of potential bullish catalyst for us. It's now really going to be about how we actually respond through that. But like I said, there's potentially a ton of stuff that at the end of this month will confirm, and we'll be looking in a very, very good spot. All right, so let's wrap up there, and we'll catch up probably on Thursday or so this week. So everybody have a good couple of days. Enjoy the conditions. Take advantage of them. And we'll see how things pan out and what we look like in 48 hours' time or so.